Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Yoga and Recovery Chats. My name is Melanie Taylor. I'm the Director of Education here at Eat, Breathe, Thrive and one of our facilitators, a person with lived experience. Eat, Breathe, Thrive is a nonprofit organization that aims to prevent and help individuals overcome eating disorders by providing skills and resources for mindful eating, emotional resilience, and positive embodiment. And I'm super excited to share that I get to lead this with one of our dear friends at Eat, Breathe, Thrive, but also from our co-partner here for this event. So Petra, take it away.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Petra, pronouns her, she, her. And as Melanie mentioned, I'm a former Eat, Breathe, Thrive facilitator. I'm also a yoga teacher, and I am here also because I am a mentor and team lead here at ENET. I will introduce briefly Annette. I also am a person with a lived experience. That's why it brought me all to these awesome organizations. So Annette, for those who don't know yet, is the leading nonprofit in the United States that provides free support services to anyone struggling with an eating disorder, regardless of age, race, gender identity, sex orientation, or background. And Annette offers various services from helpline, where you can contact them for a referral, a medical referral, or for any encouragement and support for yourself or any member of your family or friends. We also offer a mentorship program, and also there are several support groups that our fellow lead. I will give it back to you, Melanie.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So as everyone is joining, there's a few housekeeping guidelines. We ask that you keep your mics off unless you're speaking. You can feel free to use the chat if you're more comfortable. We are recording, but only our video feeds will be shown. None of your names will be displayed if you do choose to speak out loud versus in the chat. And those community guidelines were sent to you already in that pre-email. We're about to get started. So before we do, what I wanted to do is take a moment to invite you to check in, to let us know a bit about yourself. So I'll ask that you share your first name and last initial, pronouns if that's appropriate to you. And our icebreaker question today is, what has helped you develop a sense of trust in yourself and your body? What has helped you develop a sense of trust with yourself and your body? So, Petra, I'd love to pass that question to you. And if there is anybody who wants to share their answer to the question openly, I'll give you a moment to think about that as Petra answers. Do feel free to throw up your virtual hand and let me know, and we'll come to you in just a moment. So, Petra, what has helped you develop a sense of trust in yourself and your body?
Thank you, Melanie. And what a question. I wish there was a simple answer. When I thought about all the topic that we are discussing today, I can safely say that I can identify things that helped me only with hindsight of today. I was not able to pinpoint or like to even say that I am trying to restore and develop any relationship with my body and self at that time. So what truly helped me, there were a couple of things. I would mention a yoga practice with awareness to breathing also, but at first for me, it was mostly awareness to how I felt before yoga practice, during yoga practice, and how I felt after. And often how I felt before was something else than how I felt after. So that brought me back and back to the practice. Another thing that helped me, do you want to say, Melanie, something?
No, that just hit my heart.
All right. Another thing that helped me a lot was a community, and my dear family that truly was there for me. And together with I started paying attention to some of my important humans who sort of role model for me their own trust in their own bodies and self. And I sort of took notes, mental notes. And for example, when somebody canceled on me, explaining and excusing themselves that they are too tired to meet, I started noticing like, okay, I might am tired as well sometimes. So instead of like committing and overcommitting and then engaging in the eating disorder behavior, I could just rest. It was a long process, obviously, but slowly, all these things started moving the needle for me. One other important thing was education and educating myself in many things, in the influence from our society, in like really like how to be kind to our bodies. And I would highlight that organizations as If Thrive and Enet do an amazing job. And you can always join the website there to find a lot of guidance. I continue to do so as I move through my journey and also as a team lead and mentor. And there's always something else that just enriches this recovery.
I love that. We've got a couple people shared in the chat box. So one person said, develop consistency of mindfulness and its cues versus mental projection. Ooh, that's such gold, of what I think my body needs, right? So like listening to the body, using mindfulness to listen to our experiences, versus those mental, like the thoughts that we have, which sometimes can be interpreted differently than what's actually happening. And the second person also said, developing a sense of trust in myself and my body has been mindfulness. Listening to Tara Brush, absolutely, has been a great support. And community. So I heard a lot of the same things that you were sharing there. And thank you for those of you that have filled in our icebreaker question. I know a couple of you have just joined, so I'm going to recopy that in. Yeah, there's a few things that you said there. I mean, the power of yoga, and that's part of why we're doing this joint event. And I mean, doing it for a couple of years, is that there's these beautiful skills that yoga can teach us, not just the skills of, moving our body, but more so the skills of listening to our body as we move, listening to our bodies off the mat. So I love the sense of mindfulness, and you shared that as well, like listening, what's my body experiencing, and this curiosity, which truly, I think, so if I was to answer this question, I would say it's a ton of self-compassion and a lack of perfectionism. One of our lead researchers, her name is Catherine Cook-Catone, and she says perfectionism is romanticized rigidity. Romanticized rigidity. And I love that, right? So being able to have self-compassion is important to listen, because sometimes my thoughts are saying one thing, they're reacting to what my body is communicating and what my needs are, and maybe not with the best lens. Whereas if I listened with compassion to what my body was communicating, I was able to act on that compassion. But then it had to not be perfect, because I would get it wrong. Be like, oh, that seems like hunger. Oh, no, that's comfort. I need comfort, right? And being able to decipher the two and support the two. Yeah. So we've got a couple more people that have shared here. From the Netherlands, welcome. Good to have you with us. Mindfulness and yoga, but also in the process of practicing listening to your body. And it is hard, absolutely. And yeah, when we can get distracted, and we all have things that are important to us, our job and stress and things that are there. So again, that self-compassion we're not always going to get it right. That's why I say a lack of perfectionism. Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
What we get when we listen is not always pleasant experience. I think that's something that for me was really hard, because every time that I got some signals from my body, it was maybe like not what I wanted. And to accept that this is part of the communication from my body, and it's all right to feel also the less pleasant feelings and dealing with them, sitting with them only. There was something really big for me, just to stand. I love this sentence that I repeated myself a lot during my recovery: standing the discomfort, sitting with the discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a couple comments in the chat here as well. And so for those of you that just joined, if you would like to come off or on to speak, we'll hear you. We won't see you on the recording. But there's a couple of people that are acknowledging that right now, that it's hard, that it's hard to listen, that we'll hear those messages and override them anyway. And this is that part about, why we're talking about trust today. So thank you for being straight about that, Lisa. That it is really hard. And we've got what's happening in our body. Deep Breathe Thrive, we call this interoception. Interoception. And I'm just putting that in the box in case anybody wants to the word that I'm sharing. And this is ability to listen to what's happening in our body and at any given moment. And that comes with noticing the sensations. So the sensations our body is communicating, where it's communicating a need. But we also have thoughts, feelings, and emotions about the sensation. And that's what makes it challenging. If I stub my toe, the body communicates pain. Well, that's pain. By itself, it's pain. But in my mind, if my thoughts are, how the heck did I do that again? I always stub my toe there. I'm so stupid. And this was a real story because I have a spot in my bed that I stub my toe all the time. And I get in my thoughts about how bad and wrong and silly and stupid I am. And I'm having that experience. Well, there's also pain in my toe. So to not gaslight the fact that we are having more than one experience at once, there's the physical experience of the sensations. There's also the reaction, like you've noticed here, some of us might deal with things like gut symptoms and nausea and other physical experiences. And then there's also the fact that we have thoughts, feelings, and emotions about that experience. And that's where for me, that's where most of my suffering came from. For sure, the ed voice, which was misinterpreting the sensation, but also the fact that then we have an emotion about not just the sensation, but also the feelings and the thoughts. It's complicated. There's a lot going on there. And this is why I think that self-compassion. How about for you, Petra?
I love how you articulated it, and I totally agree. Oftentimes, the suffering is not from the physical pain, but from the feelings about it, like our perceived idea that there should not be the pain. But the true story is sometimes the pain is there, and it's another way how body communicates. Maybe to tell us to slow down, maybe to tell us this is not for us. Maybe it will never be. Maybe we are not meant for something that we would love to be. And there is also this compassion and letting go of the idea of us to really just support who we are and our true self.
Yeah. Such a beautiful thing too. I mean, you commented on things like these not eating disorder experiences. Did anybody just like a show of hands, a virtual hand or your physical hand, whatever works for you, who thinks that this is just people with eating disorders that has this like reaction to sensations and thoughts and feelings, and then maybe anxiety because of your thoughts and feelings or your sensations? Oh, no one thinks that. Yeah, this is a human experience. And our eating disorder thoughts, like I always think about, like we call it the monkey mind, like that monkey on your shoulder that's always super positive. Yeah, it's like saying these like, you're not enough, you're not lovable, you shouldn't try that, you're gonna fail, like these ongoing, constant, really challenging messages. Yeah, that's exactly it, Katie. And then we also have the ed voice. We've got the normal human being voice, yada, yada, yada. You're not enough. You're not lovable. Don't try. You're going to fail. And then you've got the ed voice. Oh, you're not really hungry. Oh, you're not really full. Oh, that food is this. Oh, that food is that. Oh, if you do this, that will happen. And so we've got like two voices there that are both causing suffering. And then we are suffering, and not just what's being said, whatever those thoughts are, but the fact that we have feelings and we have emotions that we experience because of those, like anxiety, depression, panic, disassociation, rumination. So it is, I found trust is not just about trusting. There's more to it than trust, because there is listening to the fact that we have a sensation and trusting the body's communication of the need, which means we have to have some appreciation for the body and its ability to communicate and to believe that it is true. And the fact that we are also going through these misinformation messages coming from whether that's the monkey mind or whether that's coming from Ed, that makes listening to that sensation almost unbearable. Or taking care of it or taking care of our needs almost unbearable. Yeah, I think you're right. Jane is just saying in the chat here that I think people with eating disorders have very strong feelings and are very sensitive. That's my experience. I mean, my eating disorders is a few decades ago. I was 16. I'm now 49. But that hasn't gone away. I think that acknowledging that we all in some way have very strong feelings and are very sensitive, I think we just get really good at covering it up and self-silencing. And the eating disorder makes that really hard.
Absolutely. I would add on that when I was thinking of trusting myself and my body, I also would say that at the earliest stages of my recovery, I just had to trust the process. Because at first, my body, as you mentioned, Melanie, was not really used to communicate anymore because I was not listening for such a long time. So there was this like disconnection, almost like separation, even though I don't like the word because I truly believe that the mind and body is one. So it's like the disconnect or like the lesson connection. And so it was frustrating to listen to any cues of my body because it was just like I had my go-to behaviors to override it. And when I was listening, just the listening felt painful. And what was important for me was truly just like trusting it and keep going and keep listening, even though there was nothing for a while.
Yeah. Oh, such an important point you're making there. So this whole interoception, listening to what's happening inside our body at any given moment, can get really ableist. Where if we look truly, we all have, ED or not, we all have undersensitive and oversensitive pathways. So we might be undersensitive to things, we might be oversensitive to things. So the oversensitive, the ones that are really loud, the one that we cannot possibly ignore, tends to be ones that also cause things like overwhelm, anxiety, panic, right? These very heightened experiences. So we have to care for both the fact that we're having this sensation that is really loud and we're oversensitive to it, and care for us that are experiencing this oversensitive pathway. But then there's also the quiet ones, and the ones that we've either learned to stop listening to, we kind of tune it out. It's there. This is the cool part about the body. It's still there. We just stopped listening. And we can start listening at any point, start to draw our awareness of that sensation back in. But it doesn't mean we're going to make undersensitive pathways normal or oversensitive pathways, or make oversensitive pathways normal or undersensitive pathways. That's an ableistic approach. So again, no perfectionism. So one example I'd like to hear from you guys in the chat box on this is that for me, my hunger sensations are muddled because I mentioned before, it can also sound like comfort, the need for comfort. And I describe it as the Grand Canyon of emptiness inside of me. Not surprisingly, my eating disorder had binging because I felt like I was trying to fill this hole inside of me. So even today, decades later, my hunger signals are challenging to listen to because they're still reacting in the same way. I still get that Grand Canyon of need when I need comfort or support or a break. But that can also feel like hunger. So I have to listen to other parts of my body. So I listen to things like fatigue, eye fatigue, hangry emotions, headaches, migraines, lethargy, Um, Thirst is probably one of the first ones that I notice is that I'm thirsty before I notice that I have a headache or things like that. And those are like, oh yeah, that's actually hunger. And I might also be experiencing emotions. Yeah.
That's
So,
for sure.
and I see an example of like, yeah, that they're undersensitive. What about others? What are you guys seeing? And Petra, I'd love to hear from you as well. What's that like for you?
Can you repeat the what's
Yeah, are there free like do you have undersensitive and oversensitive pathways, and how do you cope with that? How do you find the information in a different way?
yeah, I wanted to comment. So myself, I come from background of dealing with bulimia for many, many years. And so I relate also to the to what you were saying, Melanie, that there is always like the never fully satisfied hole in us. And yes, it's still partially there, but it's not loud anymore. It's just manageable. It's not there every time. It's like when I am maybe having really difficult periods, or like I feel stress, but I am now able to just recognize it, have my it's still there. Wow. And
Mm,
stop it right there without reacting to it, without overthinking, without feeling guilty that that thought even came to my mind. Uh,
mm,
Giving it like straight away. And uh, yeah, I would say like in the past, it was really hard for me to feel anything. Uh, and any cues that my body tried to signal were just way too much. So I would
mm,
override. And what started helping was really like attention to breathing, as simple as that. And attention to breathing, not only in yoga classes, but for example, I noticed when I was taking showers, being with my body naked, alone, touching my body to wash, felt
mm,
way too much. So I was not breathing. Somewhat, oxygen was flowing, but it was so shallow that it almost felt that I was not breathing. And the first time I noticed that, it surprised me. And I even didn't try to take the breath in. It felt so much. But at some point, I started exploring it with the curiosity. I think that's another like big component in our recovery, to be curious and try those like trials, maybe errors, maybe like, yeah, there's some adjustment needed. But like playing with ourselves and what we can do and what we can try, because it's just trying. Trying doesn't hurt. I always felt like trying means like if I fail, it's a big, big, huge thing. But it's not. So one day I just tried to take a little bit more breath, and my belly inflated, and it felt really like the worst tragedy in the world. But like, as I say it out loud today, it's just so damn clear that it was no tragedy at all. My body is
mhm,
my body was always beautiful, no matter how it was. And it's really like allowing me to live and to feel and to do what I want to do.
mhm. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I can see in the chat box here and acknowledge what you said, that how difficult it is to sit with those physical sensations, emotions, all of that, to not want to push them away and not want to keep busy. Oh, yeah, I have a degree, like a PhD in keeping busy. Anybody else have a degree in keeping busy? Yeah, can see some smiles and hands and nods. Yeah. It's so true. I think it's important to, again, like, let's go back to that self-compassion. There are times where I don't have the capacity to deal with all of that. And I do need to take a break. I do need to give myself permission to distract, to disassociate, to do something that feels compassionate. That's part of compassion just as much as, okay, I'm feeling anxiety. Let's take care of my anxiety. Okay, the anxiety is coming because I feel hungry. Okay, I also have hunger to deal with, right? It's like being able to take care of all of our parts, all of the parts of us that are experiencing suffering. Um, and yeah, and one of them's pushing away is with food. That's absolutely my experience. I don't want to feel lonely. isolated, the need for comfort. And I absolutely did feel that with food. And sometimes it still happens, right? That sense of having this curious approach and compassionate approach to ourselves is such an important part. And it is okay though. And this is the part that's important. It's okay to be like, nope, not in this moment. And give yourself something to do that is compassionate, that allows you to take care of the person having that suffering. We have to stop adding shame to the fact that we're suffering and like making ourselves wrong that we're suffering and making ourselves bad that we're suffering or that we're coping with our suffering. I think that's such a huge part of restoring our trust in ourselves, is to acknowledge why anything that we're going through is happening. It's because we're in pain, we're hurting. To me, that was the hardest thing to do, was to restore my faith in myself. My therapist says it like this: look at all these badass ways you coped. Like mine started at 5 with all the wisdom of a 5-year-old that I figured out how to cope. Now, is all that coping helping me? Compassionate? No, it wasn't. And so I got to learn new ways to cope, new ways to take care of the fact that I was suffering. And I think that's a big part, right? And I've got what you're saying, Lisa, about you're not experiencing shame versus hopelessness and frustration. Yeah, got that. Which is why community is so helpful. Don't hold that alone. In community settings, be with people that have similar experiences so that you don't have to carry that hopelessness alone, because there is hope. In fact, that's why we're here. If there wasn't hope, why would we be here? Truly. So whether it's, and you'll get an email after our session today from me with programs you can join at Eat, Breathe, Thrive, support groups that you can get through ANAD. So wherever you are in the world, and you don't happen to be in the US where the amazing ANAD is, they do have support that's virtual, as well as, we've got other resources around the world. So don't sit in that hopelessness alone. If that was the one thing I would wish I could go back to 16-year-old Mel and say, you're not alone. Because I truly believe for decades that I was. And yet, here we are on a Monday, connecting over a shared experience.
Yeah, I think it was beautiful what you said, Melanie. And I agree that the hope and faith in yourself and in the possibility of the recovery is something that eventually will start the journey. And not losing the faith is really important. That's the first start of the self-care, to feel that deep down you deserve better and you can do it.
Yeah. Catherine, we're gonna start getting ready for yoga here. So I'm just putting a chat note here. So Patrick, if you want to start getting ready to lead for us. Catherine, as I mentioned, our lead researcher, who is a yoga teacher, obviously a researcher, a psychiatrist, or psychologist, excuse me, and leads all of our research at Eat, Breathe, Thrive. And one of the things that she said about recovery is the very first thing we have to do is start having appreciation for our body and for our body's ability to recover, and for all the things it does for us, no matter how we've treated it. And this opportunity to restore our trust comes from having something we actually feel we could trust, to truly actually feel like we could trust. So I'm going to pass over to Petra here in a moment. And so if you don't already have some supports with you, you can practice any way you want. Petra's going to cue in a certain way, but feel free to adapt for yourself. I'm going to be here, but stay off camera for a moment. If you've got questions about adapting, feel free to ask me about that. So if you'd like to adapt from a chair, or if you want to, she's seated on her mat, if you want to move in some way, feel free to do that. And Petra, take it away.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And so I want to invite everybody to do what's the best for them today. If you prefer to stay seated and practice the portion from your chair, from the comfort of your sofa, Or if you prefer just to watch and maybe practice another time, it's totally fine. If you want to join me on your mat, please come down. We will start seated. If you have any pillows, blocks, bolsters, a couple of blocks, also a strap, it might come handy. And if you don't, you can always try to modify it out, so no worries about that. If you have I don't know, oil, for example, at home that you have it on your shelf and you never find a good time to use it, maybe you can take it now with you and add some extra soothing to your practice today. And for sitting, we might find a position in cross-legged variation. If that feels good for you, you can elevate yourself with the blocks or bolster. And if that doesn't feel good today, you can always sit with your shins parallel, or also bringing maybe a bolster in between your lower legs. Anything that works for you is working perfectly. Once you settle, maybe bring your palms at your knees or any part of your body, maybe in the lap. You can still move a little bit, finding the perfect position, adjusting. Just remember that any position that you find is never permanent. You can always change it. You can try it, you can test it. You can decide that this is not for me today. So then as you slowly start settling down, I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Maybe keeping the subtle movement or coming slowly to stillness. Start shifting your attention and your breathing without changing anything. Just notice. Notice where your body meets the ground or the chair. Notice if there are any muscles engaged that we can release. Maybe the facial muscles can take a break now. And slowly deepen your inhale into your belly. And deepen, prolong the exhales. And only you decide the rhythm of your breath. Staying aware of the breathing. With your next inhale, take maybe a little deeper breath. And exhale, open your mouth, sigh it all out. You can do it another couple of times. And exhale, releasing everything that doesn't serve you right now. And slowly we will start circling our neck. Or maybe we will just do half circles. Only if you feel that your body says yes, you can start circling backwards. And take it as slow as your breathing goes. Noticing any sensation, any feedback from our body. When you are ready, you can turn the other way, start circling the other way. And start listening keenly to what your body has to offer you. And slowly you can pause, coming to a center. And as you inhale, we will all raise arms up. And exhale, bringing them to get the palms together, lowering the arms by our side again. Let's do it twice more. Inhale. Don't worry if I'm too slow or too fast. Just follow all your rhythm. And the next time you will inhale, reach both arms up. And exhale, interlacing the fingers. And slowly pressing the palms away as we round our spine a little bit. Bringing the chin to chest. Inhale, we reach both arms up. And exhale, lower our arms down. You can do it twice more again, maybe this time reaching out straight away with the interlaced fingers. And then bringing the arms up and lowering down. And one more time, if you want to do any modification, I invite you to do so. Pairing the movement with your breathing. From here, we will do side stretches. So as you inhale, reach one arm up. And exhale, lean to the opposite side. As you inhale, slowly change the sides. Reach the upper opposite arm overhead. You can continue to do so. You might also want to just grab the opposite wrist and do the side stretch this way. Notice how you feel doing these side stretches. Perhaps there is more space to breathe in. Then slowly lower the arms down, maybe bring them on your knee. You can again do a little movement if that feels good for you. Notice how you feel. Might be a good time if you are cross-legged to swap the legs for you. Now we will do a twisting. So you might simply just bring one palm to the opposite knee if you are in cross-legged seated position, and then bring the back hand behind you, twist this way. And if you are seated on a chair or with shins parallel, you might just do that as well. And then slowly change the direction. And you can always try another variation with the next one. And just notice how it feels for you today. You have enough. We will slowly come to all fours if you are doing so. And if not, you can just keep circling your body if you prefer staying seated. Maybe rounding your back, extending. And if you join me in the all four variation, spread the fingers wide. And just notice how you feel today, touching the ground. Slowly start moving your body the way you like. There is no right and wrong. It's just all curiosity, testing how we feel today. You might want to try to just let the head stay heavy. Notice how that feels. And then slowly you can find a child's pose, separating the knees, bringing the feet together. You might want to use a block or pillow just for comfortable rest on the ground. Take a few moments here. And then when you are ready, you can come back to all fours. There are a couple of options here. You can either extend one foot at a time and just rocking forth and back, stretching the lower portion of your leg, and then switching the other leg. Just getting curious here. If you wish to explore downward facing dog today, I invite you to ground from your palms here, and then slowly lift yourself up. Let the head stay heavy, the neck relax. Pedaling out the feet, stretching the lower legs in this variation. And at any point, if you changed your mind, if this doesn't work for you, feel free to come down. You can always come into child's pose at any point. If you are in downward facing dog, slowly come down, lower the knees down, and see if you can lower all the way down to the ground. Feel the gravity having you for a moment, feeling the heart beating. And on the next inhale that comes down, see if you can slowly bring yourself up, passing through child's pose. You can stay here. You can do a couple of more movements in cat and cow position, or you can try this transition once more, whatever feels good for you. Keeping the attention to your breathing, to the sensations of your body. Making the pause to notice. And slowly come back to seated. Take a moment. Deep inhale in. And exhale, open your mouth. Let it all go. And the next inhale, we come back to all fours. And you have option to either stay lower on the mat, bringing one foot forward. And stretching the hamstrings, moving slowly with your breath. You can always use the help of blocks to stay higher. Or you can always bring the blanket underneath your knee. If you want to lift up, you can bring the back foot down, ground from there, coming into pyramid pose. Find a couple of pulsations here. We will slowly come to another side, so find the way that works for you. And slowly do the variation that you prefer, either staying on the ground or staying up. And slowly let's come back on the ground. We will extend our legs. I invite you to prep yourself, maybe sit on a bolster or bringing a pillow or blanket underneath your knees. And this, even if you stay seated, this is a great thing to join again. We will just stretch our feet and our hands a little bit, our wrists. See if you can pair these movements with the breathing as well. And as you inhale, I invite you to reach the arms up. And as you exhale, see if you can float a little bit, using again all the props that serve you today. Taking a little bit moment to rest. If you can grab the feet or the lower legs or the upper legs, or just grabbing the opposite elbows, noticing the touch to your body. I invite you to feel the appreciation for your body. And only when you are ready, you can come back up, and I give you options. You can either stay seated for the meditative portion of our practice, or you can come down on your mat. Whatever works better for you. Take your time to settle. Close your eyes if you feel that's a good choice for you. And slowly bring one palm just above your belly button. And another palm just below your belly button. If you want, you can also make a skin-to-skin contact or not. Slowly start focusing on your breathing. Feeling the gravity under you, feeling the body touching the ground. And as you keep breathing, start noticing the warmness of your palms touching your body. And slowly start expanding your breathing. Breathing slightly fuller into your belly, so much your hands rise. And exhaling, maybe slightly fuller, feeling the movement. And find any rhythm that works for you. Notice if there is any tension in your body or in your face that doesn't need to be there. And continue breathing deeply and fully into your belly. You might start noticing sensations in your body, in your belly. And I invite you to get curious about those sensations as you continue breathing deeply and fully into your belly. You might feel sensations, some movements, some gargling in your belly. You might feel tightness, discomfort. You might feel pain. And it's all good. Continue breathing deeply and fully into your belly, into your body. As you continue breathing deeply and fully, you might get curious. What are those sensations trying to tell me? What is my belly, my body trying to communicate? And as you continue breathing deeply and fully, see if you can name needs, physical needs that your body is asking you for. It might be rest, it might be nourishment, it might be hydration, it might be just compassion, not just. Continue breathing deeply and fully into your belly. And start noticing any thoughts that arise from observing those sensations and naming the needs of your body, of yourself. Notice if there are some thoughts coming up that are denying the language of your body. Maybe the thoughts say something like, this is too much. Maybe they suggest we can't do it. Maybe there are no thoughts. And just notice that the thoughts are just thoughts. We don't need to react to them. You continue breathing deeply and fully into your belly. You might want to ask yourself a question. How can I respond to my body's sensations, to my body's needs in a healthy way so I nourish my body? What can I do in the next 1 hour and so? to respond and to let my body know that I can. And it might be taking a rest, taking a stretch, taking a walk, maybe seeking a nourishment, choosing a nourishing meal or snack. Maybe hydrating your body with a glass of water. Or maybe your body is asking for a hug. You can do that self-hugging. Or you might go out and seek the hug from your loved ones. And if no hug is available, there's always community for virtual hugs. So this one click away from you. Continue breathing deeply and fully in your belly. Taking this unique moment to really pause, listening. You might want to try from the listener point of contact to come into the observing self, noticing the conversation between your mind and your body from the seat of an observer. Observing the dialogue, observing those both parties. In a conversation. And then slowly you can lower your hands down, perhaps on your knees, or maybe bringing the palms together at your chest. If you were lying down, maybe start bringing yourself up into comfortable seated position. And then slowly bringing maybe the palms in front of your face, keeping the eyes closed for a little bit longer. And then opening the palms, covering your side for a moment. Feeling the touch of your palms on your face. Maybe sliding through your hairline. Sliding over your neck, if that feels good. Ultimately, settle down your hands. Gently start opening your eyes. Keeping the gaze soft for a moment. Let the light enter again. Thank you for practicing with me today. I will bring myself closer as I ask Melanie to take over.
Oh, what a beautiful practice. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And for all of you who practiced in your own way, we talked about trusting the body today. And I think I teach yoga teacher training, and I can tell you the one thing that I focus my teaching on initially is holding space for you to follow your own practice, not just be guided. So I saw a few of you adapting, and I thank you for that, for trusting your own body to communicate your needs and to honor those needs in such a beautiful way. And Petra, it's the first time I've gotten to see you teach other than some of your social. And so thank you for that experience and for teaching the class today. I'm very honored to get to spend that time with you and to be under your teaching. So thank you. So as we wrap up, I want to give an opportunity to see if there's any questions, comments, thoughts, yeah, but what if, from the group. And I know some of you are kind of getting back from your practice and getting settled. Oh, and then we've got kitty cat yoga happening in some places as well. It's lovely. So I'd love to hear, and maybe what there's for you to share is how you're feeling in this moment. You can do that in the chat with a couple of words. Do you have any questions or thoughts that are top of mind? And Petra, while we're doing that, I think we often forget to check in, after teaching a practice. How about you? What's your couple word check-in after being together in community today in your own practice?
Yeah, so I feel great. I'm always enjoying those moments when I have a chance to connect with community. And this was my active role, which was new to me. And I'm glad I went through it. I know that my old self would always love to take the challenge, but at the same time freaking out and maybe letting the challenge pass. And it's interesting because like it was so much me being afraid while feeling that I want more. And I was always like stopping myself. So I feel really proud of myself that I'm over that old self and I am following my heart, what I want to do and pushing through, even though it might be uncomfortable and it might take some breathing before I feel more comfortable. But it's always
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. We've got a question in the chat box. I think this is a really important one, and I'm going to answer it a little bit. And Petra, if you've got something you want to say, but I also think that it's really important, and I'm going to share these in the chat box for you right now, is that there are resources. So, we've got a couple of minutes. I think it's a really big question. And I think that it's not something I can answer in 3 minutes. But we do have programs and support that are going to help with exactly this. So I want to start off by sharing, we do have a program. It is free at Eat, Breathe, Thrive called Yoga for Eating Disorder Recovery. It's a 4-week online, 2 hours a week course. If you have any questions, when you send questions into Eat, Breathe, Thrive, they come to me. Or you can reply to the email that I send you tomorrow about this. And then there's also support groups at Anna, and I've shared the link into there as well. So the question is, any tips on how to sit with the difficult feelings of fullness when you're learning to renourish yourself well in recovery? Ooh, I think I'm going to use a couple of words versus trying to describe actions. I think patience, compassion are so important. And my mentor said this to me: get curious, not furious. Get curious about your experience, how to care for yourself with compassion, to have patience for yourself. I think that to me is like, if I could give you anything and wave, that Tinkerbell's magic wand, I could just wave a magic wand and change something, I would start with those things: compassion and curiosity. Petra, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I will add because I would repeat myself what you just said. But I would add that for those moments, like it's really just the moments, the difficult moments that the entire recovery journey. It's our recovery journey is really made by overcoming those terribly difficult but short moments that we just can't stand. At the moment, it's maybe we talk 10 minutes and then it passes. It's not forever. Those difficult sensations, if we stand them, if we sit with that, if we cry. I cried a lot because when I decided I have to go through it, and I'm emotional every time when I'm thinking about it because it's truly hard. It's truly, truly hard. And it's just getting easier. It's taking time, but I cried. I was punching things. I was just holding my hands like this, praying, looking in a mirror, doing whatever, crying. And sitting with it, standing that discomfort. And slowly, slowly, it started moving the needle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm with you on the emotion. I think that what you just shared is so powerful, that it's going to be challenging, and that, if I could take it away, we'd already have done that. it is hard. And so to your point of like getting through this moment, not trying to extend it as to all the moments, but just this one. I'm going to get through this moment. I'm going to care for myself through this moment. I'm going to get all the support I need in this moment. And to your point, it does get easier and we're not going to feel that, right? All of a sudden one day we're like, wow, that was actually easy. And it's going to feel weird and crazy. Like how did that happen? Just like when you learn to ride a bike, one day you were just riding and you're like, how did that happen? And you kind of forget about it and it makes it seem sort of diminished a little bit, but it is those caring for yourselves in each moment as one situation, as one moment. And we do talk about this in our course. I know these are things that you'll experience conversations around in ADAD support groups and mentorship. So please reach out for more resources. And thank you so much for coming, bringing yourself here today, but also joining and holding this community together. We truly could not have such an valuable time together without all of you here with us today. So thank you so very, very much.
But
Have a wonderful